This handsome beast right here is Aiden Scott. I'm going to let him kind of give you his background and bio when he gets started. If you're not following him, make sure you do that. A lot of you came over from the initial raid from him, but if you're not following him, make sure you do so. Aiden Scott, how are you, sir?
Is this good? Is this better now?
I think so. I think it's great.
Cool.
I
love it when technology works.
I mean, with us, it's always hit or miss, right? There's always an opportunity for like there to be gremlins in the system and kind of messing with us.
Of course. What's going to be weird right now is that the actual laptop I'm streaming off of is to my left.
It's over there.
It's over here, so I can't stare at it without looking like this.
Yeah.
And it's going to be weird because I'm not even looking at you unless you switch things.
Do you want me to like do that?
So I'm literally watching the Twitch stream over here.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I could probably do? I could probably use that same link and put that up, and I'll at least see the live feed, right?
Yeah. Like on Twitch? Yeah. I mean, it's going to be
I can bring up StreamYards again in a different browser.
You can do whatever you like, sir.
Yes, I'm going to try that.
You are the guest of honor today.
I'm going to try that. Anyway, so what's good? What's good, Fader people?
Yeah. So thanks for coming on, man. Like we both have a huge, big passion for movies and things like that. And I think the Twitch world that we've kind of fallen into and things has kind of grown our friendship quite a bit. And
absolutely. I
want to let the people know who don't know who you are. Introduce yourself.
So my name's Aiden Scott, or that's what you're going to know anyway. I grew up in California, born in 1980. I lived in California, a little bit northern California, like around like an hour and a half outside of San Francisco, in a little town called Lodi until 97 when my family relocated. Thank you, Lauren. Lauren just brought me tea.
Hi, Lauren.
They say hi. Can you shut the door, please? Thank you. So my family relocated to outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
In
about 97?
In 97, yeah. So cool. I moved out here in 97, and it was my senior year of high school at the time. Well, we moved between years, between the school break.
Yeah.
And when we got out here, I started my senior year of high school, and that's when I kind of discovered DJing and started DJing. I worked for a real hokey mobile company, like the guy you never want to DJ your wedding, that stereotypical hokey guy.
Dude, I call him DJ Cumberbuns.
He wore a cummerbund. I got to get this loaded up in front of me, or else it's gonna drive me nuts. I'm talking to nothing right now, and it's bugging me out.
You're just looking at your camera.
So I'm trying to talk through it. I'm just looking at my camera.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk through this. So I started working for a mobile company because I had a big music collection of I had a big CD collection.
Sure.
And I'm like, I was like, a senior in high school, and I didn't want to work fast food. I'd already done that. I worked at Wendy's when I was 16. So I wanted to do something in music. So I got this job with this guy, and I started because I was young and he was an old hokey guy. I was able to help him get back in the market of like high school dances and proms and sweet
being
16.
Young and kind of relevant, right?
Exactly. So I did that for a while, and then during my senior year of high school, I went to Votech. I didn't go to the main high school. I went to Votech to study architecture, and during that year, I got a co-op job through the school, and the guy who hired me ended up being a drum and bass producer, and he introduced me to drum and bass, and kind of introduced me to the rave scene in '98 here in Philadelphia.
Cool.
Which in turn introduced me to Bad Boy Bill. I heard a Bad Boy Bill mixtape, and I'm like, holy shit, I want to do this.
Right.
And once I heard that, because of the mobile DJ company I worked for, there was another mobile DJ we knew who had already digitized all of his vinyl collection. So he was trying to get rid of his turntables, which he had a pair of mint condition Technique 1200s with Ortofon nightclub needles on them, in road cases, and he sold me the pair.
What year was this?
This is 98.
Okay, wow.
And they were probably 15 years old at that time. Those tables, they were probably 15 years old.
Tank.
And he sold them to me, the pair, for $600, which was a steal.
Right.
Literally, they were mint condition. The only thing I ever ended up doing to that pair of turntables was replacing the RCAs.
Yeah.
And I internally grounded them. But
yeah, I was gonna say probably that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started going to Philadelphia every Tuesday for new release days, buying Chicago Hard House records, Disco House, Booty House, and I started playing like local raves. You know, like when there would be like 500 of us on a lineup and nobody got paid, but it was just a good time.
Yeah.
And I did that. I probably did that exclusively, with mobile DJing until 2001 or 2-ish, probably 1.
Cool.
And I was in business school at the time, or maybe I was just getting done business school, and I had a regular job, which I hated. I was doing web design for an insurance company, and I was literally sitting in a cubicle all day. I think I saw everything on the internet, and I was just bored. I would literally come into work early.
Were you like a Dreamweaver, like programmer guy? Are we talking we're writing code?
I was coding HTML because
wow.
I went to business school for computers and networking, so I learned how to build PCs. I learned code. I never got into like coding like C+ and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
But I was definitely more into the design stuff of it. So that's why does it look like I have lipstick? My camera. Your lips
do look a little red, but
they're rosy. This camera for some reason, unless I turn the saturation down, makes I'm rosy.
You're okay. You just got off the set. You're glistening. You're a hardworking man.
It looks like look how red I am on the screen. Holy shit!
If you keep pointing it out, you're only probably gonna get redder.
I know I'm gonna get redder, and I might just put myself in black and white now.
Whatever you want to do, as long as it's not a bunch of snap face filters or whatever.
No, you don't want me to do that. You don't want to turn into that.
No, yeah. Let's not do that.
So anyway, I started playing raves, and then I had a regular job that I ended up hating. So I quit a very good paying web design job because I was tired of sitting in a cubicle. I couldn't sit in a cubicle all day.
Yeah.
And I went and delivered food. I went and worked for a deli because I just couldn't do the corporate life. I just couldn't do it. And so I started delivering food. And again, I'm still DJing this whole time. And then I started delivering furniture, but like for a really high-end company. So that job, even though it was grunt work in a way, was kind of a dope job. It kept me in shape. It paid decent. It was like $18 an hour at the time. And
nice.
The beauty about delivering high-end furniture for high-end clientele is a lot of those clients have furniture that they're getting rid of. And they always ask us to remove the furniture.
Sure.
And if you know anything about ultra rich people, a lot of them have furniture sets that they never use. They just have they have a room that they decorated and never use.
Yeah, it's the room that you don't go in. It's like got the good furniture, like the second dining room that you like never go in. Yeah, I got you.
And we almost had like this little. It wasn't a scam because we weren't doing anything wrong because our boss let us do this, but the company itself didn't really charge a removal fee. So the clients would ask us how much we'd accept to take away the furniture.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it was pretty much brand new furniture.
Right.
So we'd like charge them $50-$100, and then me and the other person on the truck would split that. And then we'd either call dibs on the furniture.
Dibs.
We'd call dibs. And then if neither of the people that were doing the work wanted it, we'd offer the furniture up to the people at the warehouse. And if they didn't want it, we had a relationship with a local secondhand store that we'd take the furniture to and sell it to them. So we double dipped all the time. It was great.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Anyway, so I did this job for like 5 years or so. And it got to the point where I wasn't like, I thought I should get promoted to run that part of the company.
Right.
And I wasn't getting, there wasn't a job for it. So they had to create it, but they didn't want to do it. So I eventually got tired. And one day I started that. This is around the same time. Oh, this is a super good segue into what we're going to talk about too. so I started. That's around the time I started getting tattooed. So I started my sleeve.
Cool.
And the first tattoo I got on this arm, which I'll show you guys now, and some of you will know what it is.
As you wish.
Which is the it's one of the movie posters for The Princess Bride, and it's Wesley and Buttercup.
That's
and
great.
it says "As you wish." It's funny how many people on the street have asked me, "Oh, is that you and your wife?" And then I had to explain it to them. But anyway, so I started getting this tattoo, and I took a sick day off of work one day, and I took a sick day to go get tattooed. And when I did that, the next day when I came in, I ran into the owner of the company, my boss, and he sees my arm and it's wrapped in the cellophane. And he goes, "Is that why you took off yesterday?" And I go, "Yep." And he goes, "This really isn't working out anymore, is it?" And I go, "Nope." This is like exactly how the conversation went. And he's like, "So I guess we're done here?" And I go, "I guess we are." And I got in my car and went home, filed unemployment.
Wow.
And for the next year of my life that I had unemployment, I focused 100% on DJing. And that's when I started like networking more. That's when I got into the open format game.
Yeah.
Or the actual club open format game.
Yeah, I got you.
That's when I got my first agent. And so that unemployment was like kind of my my parachute to transition from like 9 to 5 type work into doing the DJ thing full time. And then after that, I didn't look back.
That's crazy because I had a similar story as far as like DJing goes, is because I was working at I'll throw them under the bus. The headwear brand 47. I used to work for them, and I used to design headwear part-time while working full-time as like their production bitch. So like they designed one hat, and then I'd be the guy that actually went and did all the computer artwork to ship to China to be made on every single 30 different, football teams, 30 Major League Baseball teams, 300 NCAA college teams. So I did like a lot of that work, and I was designing headwear that I wanted to make for like legitimate styles for people to buy on the side. Like I would do all my work, and I would do, because I'm a creative guy. I went to school for graphic design. So like I still, that like that itch, to create is always going.
Yeah. Of course.
I gave them it wasn't really an ultimatum, but like I was talking to them about like my growth potential. I'm like, I hold down the majority of your multi-million-dollar business, and I'm still able to do this kind of, stuff on the side. I like this stuff. I like designing stuff. I like knowing what's on trend and what's cool and like that, and like moving towards that. I want to do that full time. And then one of like the art directors like left, and I'm actually gonna have. I've talked to her about this. One of the other artists that worked with me, I'm actually going to have her come on the show. She's not a DJ, but she loves movies and all them kinds of nerdy shit. So we're going to have her on the show as well. I was like, look, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, that's like doesn't that suck when you work for a company that definitely has growth potential and you're a creative type, and it's almost like they take it for granted. They don't care enough. And what's funny is that, go ahead.
They didn't see the value in me, and I saw that. So when my wife, my fiance at the time, got an opportunity to move and got a great job opportunity, I'm like, okay. I'm like, let's go. We moved to Connecticut, and that's when we opened Shrine, like the big giant nightclub, the mega club that's in Connecticut with, our buddies Vinny Vibe and JD, like all those guys or whatever. Like that's when we moved there, and I wasn't even DJing yet.
Who had the beard first, you or Vinny?
That's a great question. I had a beard first. His beard was longer than mine, like the longer beard before me.
Because I met Vinny when he was babyface Vinny was like the faux hawk.
Yes.
That's when I met Vinny.
There's pictures on my Facebook in my wedding album, because he DJ'd my wedding. So we're talking about a fellow DJ, Vinny Vibe, who's out of Providence, Rhode Island. And he, like, they were around during like the inception of my DJ career, because I DJ'd a couple parties in the 90s, the late 90s, but I had never pursued it to any kind of extent of owning gear at a regular basis, doing this or that, the other thing. I think we'll probably get into that a little bit later in the podcast, because I'm probably going to bring on one of the guys that literally gave me the name Darth Fader. So that's a good story. That's a homie that I'll definitely bring on the show. Let's talk a little bit about you growing up, and
I never did.
as far as consuming media, music, things of that. You kind of talked about how you were on a professional level. Like let's get into a little bit about how you consumed media and that as a kid. Were you big into the Saturday morning cartoons, the TV, the movies, that kind of stuff?
So actually, can you guys hear me still all right when I'm this far away from the mic?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I just wanted to. I know this is a directional mic. I didn't know how far away I could be. So I remember I have very fond memories of watching a lot of kung fu movies as a kid, and my mom never really cared about me watching violence or because as a kid I was into martial arts, so obviously growing up in the 80s, I loved kung fu flicks, and any ninja movie I could find, I loved. I still, even though it's like a horrible movie, if you watch it really, if you've never seen the movie American Ninja, love it. But like I remember, and obviously this is back in the day where we recorded movies off of TV, so we had a VCR where we had to actually hit record, and you could there was the extended play VHSs, so you could get about 3 2-hour movies on one VHS. So that was like my first movie collection, was all recorded VHSs, and we had 2 VCRs, so we would actually rent movies at Blockbuster.
Rip them.
Yeah, that was like the original movie ripping was.
Yeah, for real.
2 VCRs, and you would play it on one VCR, recorded the other one, and that was my original movie collection. And I remember one of my favorite VHS that I had was like all Looney Tunes. It was like all the classic Looney Tunes. And I watched that so much, especially my aunt and uncle had that at their house. I don't know. We didn't do that one. So that was my aunt and uncle. But every time I went over there, I had to watch this VHS of all the Looney Tunes. And when I started, it was probably not till I was it was when I moved to Pennsylvania when I actually started getting into actual media collection. My best friend in high school, who runs a YouTube channel called Cinema Sickness. I think I told you in the group chat about this guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. His name's Dave Eisenhower, and his YouTube channel has actually gotten, it's got a fan base, like a legit fan base. It's cool. And again, for the listeners or the viewers right now, which I can't see because I don't have Twitch pulled up. Go to on YouTube, just Google Cinema Sickness and check out his collection. Me and him both started collecting DVDs around the same time, and my collection kind of got up to around 1,500, 2,000 movies at one point.
Wow.
He kept going, and the basement of his house is essentially a Blockbuster on steroids. He's made a business out of it, and he not only collects DVDs and Blu-rays, but he has like Betamax and Laserdisc and VHS.
Oh wow! So it's like not like a current thing. It's like
he is a collector. He is a true connoisseur of media.
Media, right? Yeah.
And me and him both, like, literally the thing that we did at the time, we were both straight edge too. So like we didn't go out to bars. We didn't go party and drink.
I had my days of doing that too.
So like our thing is like every week or 2 times a week we go to the movies. My brother at the time worked at a theater, so we got free tickets all the time.
Perfect.
So we went and saw everything. We didn't, even if it was like a bad movie, we just went and saw it.
Right.
And both of us being fans of Mystery Science Theater stuff, we didn't mind seeing bad movies because we just made fun of them.
Right.
And so that I I tend to be a collector of things. Like I'll get really focused on things. Like right now, I have my Funko collection. I have a huge Funko collection. But
Do you know how many pieces you have?
I know exactly how many pieces I have. I can show you the. I
Do
have it all.
you have a database?
I have a database.
I have like 5.
It's
my daughter has more than me.
Are they all Darth Vader?
No, they're not. I've got a wide variety of my influences. I have one that's Bob Ross because I love Bob Ross. I do not have a Lawrence Stefan birthday gifted custom Funko Pop though. I do not have.
I literally have
custom Funko Pop.
Custom Funko. It's got my tattoos. Like there's the Princess Bride tattoo.
It's awesome.
It's on the Funko.
That's super cool.
So I have let's see, where's my collection here? I have 482, and
wow.
they're valued right now at $8,489.
Wait, there's like a site that you can like plug in which ones you have, and
it's actually Funko's website.
Really? That's cool.
The Funko app, but they base your value based on a website that tracks like supply and demand for different Funkos.
For like the rarity of them and this and that. Gotcha.
Exactly. Cool. Alexa's talking to me. We didn't say her name. Alexa, stop. Yeah. Goddamn Alexa.
Well, you just said her name again.
I know.
It's sparky.
Don't
say it.
Anyway, so like, I was a big movie collector, and I saw just tons and tons and tons of movies. I even at one point I had my website, I had my domain, and I started like kind of a movie critique blog that didn't go anywhere, and I didn't stick with it. But there was a time where I was actually writing my reviews of movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Again, it was very short-lived, and I just didn't stick with it.
So, I mean, now if we want to try to switch gears a little bit and kind of talk about, about your favorite movie, obviously it's tattooed on the side of you. Now, 1987, you were how old?
In 87, I was 7.
So I assume that you didn't see this in theaters, right? You'd probably have to see it maybe a little bit later.
I think the first movie I saw in a theater was either Back to the Future or the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, I love that. I remember seeing that movie for sure.
So I have a very my memory is not that good. It's really good, but at the same time, it's not so good at me recalling things on command.
Yeah.
If things come up in regular conversation, I can like spout out facts. But if you put me on the spot, like I would be bad on Jeopardy. I think I would be really bad on Jeopardy. But I can't remember if it was one of those two movies though. It was either Back to the Future or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I saw in theaters first. So I actually don't even remember the year or when I saw Princess Bride for the first time. I was young.
Mm-hmm.
It had to have been either after it came out on VHS or when it was on HBO or something in the something late
like
80s.
A TV kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And and it's funny because like the Princess Bride didn't do well in the theaters. It didn't. I think it grossed 30-something million.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
What are you looking at all the stats? Do you have all the stats pulled up?
Well, I have some things aside, but I did some homework, So
yeah. Hit that BuzzFeed article.
No BuzzFeed. Is there one? Just send it to me. I'll look at it.
Yeah, there's a BuzzFeed article.
Okay. No, I know it wasn't. It wasn't a massive success at all. Yeah.
No, and it's funny because a lot of the best movies or the most memorable movies from our era, like our childhood, were flops at the box office.
Right.
I mean,
it depends. But a lot of the ones that I think will ring true with a lot of nostalgia for us. Like if we were trying to rewatch them, if we go back and put our like critical thinking hats on, that they don't hold up. You know what I mean? They're like, well, what is this? You know what I mean? Or is there some kind of like off a removal from that? You know
what movie that I went back and watched a couple years ago that did that to me, where I'm like, oh, I'm not into this as much anymore, was Big Trouble in Little China. And I love that movie, and I hate to say bad things about it. Maybe I need to rewatch it again. Maybe I was just like in a bad spot that day that I rewatched it.
Yeah.
Because I have such fond memories of that movie. And they're talking about doing a remake of it right now too. But yeah.
Surprise that we may be talking about that movie next week.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, maybe you can rewatch it and then come back and join the roundtable discussion about it.
I'll try to do that because I don't think Lauren has seen that movie, so maybe we'll watch it together and I'll revisit it.
So tell me, why I approach you about doing the show. I approach you. We were talking about like just the concept of a movie show, in general, and then I approach you like, come on, we'll talk about you, and then we'll kind of pivot, talk about your favorite, like a movie. It's like it could be your favorite movie, just a movie you're passionate about, whatever. What is it about The Princess Bride for you that when that comes to mind, like this is my favorite movie? Is there like a bullet point or two that's like, this is why this movie is my favorite? So
I think there's a lot of things that when I was a child that I was into that I wasn't aware of why I was into it. Like I always tell a story about like, it's funny. I said I was going to bring up religion on this thing as a joke.
Politics, religion.
I'm actually going to right now. Okay. I am agnostic, so I'm not a big fan of organized religion, but I love religion. I love learning about it. I have very vivid memories of being like under 10 years old, or maybe like 10 years old, going to church for the first time, and in my head going, "This is bullshit." Which you're not supposed to do when you're that young, because obviously most things like that are, passed down from your parents or whatever, and then you just kind of believe it. For some reason, when I was a kid, I didn't know at the time why I was feeling this way until I was older and I could actually gather my thoughts. But I think with Princess Bride, in the same vein as just attaching yourself to something like that, is the writing of the movie, which again, when you're a child, you don't understand the writing of a movie, the screenplay, the actual dialogue. But the dialogue is so witty, and there's so much sarcasm laced throughout the script that I think that's what connected to me to it. Plus, in my younger years, I was kind of a hopeless romantic. I was mostly raised by my mom and my grandma, so I was raised by like women. In a way, I had my grandpa until 990, I think, is when he passed. So I was 10. But like my actual biological father he was an alcoholic, and he had visitation, but he wasn't like a huge part in my life. So it was like my grandma, my mom who raised me. So like, I guess, and obviously all the old Disney movies, like the princesses and all that stuff like this. So like, I like the romance aspect of Princess Bride, but at the same time, and this is something that somebody brought up in my chat room the other day when we were talking about this, isn't that a chick flick? And Princess Bride is not a chick flick at all. And it's funny because a lot of people, when I say that The Princess Bride is my favorite movie and they've never seen it, they automatically, for some reason in their head, think of The Princess Diaries, which is a chick flick.
Right.
And it's just not that. And it's a movie that it has a love story.
It has a love story, right? Yeah.
It has a love story, but it also has action, and it has witty banter and sarcasm, and it's
well-crafted comedy.
Yes, exactly. And it just has everything. It has everything. Like all the genres of movies almost, it's kind of all baked into this, except for maybe horror. Unless you want to consider The Pit of Despair a horror part of the movie.
Part of the movie, yeah, sure.
Which is also something I want to talk about too, because anybody who's like, I'm never that, the book was better guy. I'm never that guy. And I'm really not even with it with The Princess Bride. But if you've never actually read William Goldman's actual book,
yeah,
the book is amazing. And there's only one part of the book. There's one chapter of the book that they left out of the movie that would have been an amazing addition to the story of the actual theatrical release, but it probably would have added 20 to 30 minutes to the runtime.
Yeah.
It's all about, in the book, I mean, for those of you who've seen the movie, which I assume a lot of you have,
yeah.
When they're searching for Wesley and he's in the Pit of Despair being tortured, they find the entrance to the Pit of Despair, they go in, and then they're automatically down there. They're already there. In the book, there's and again, I didn't brush up on this as much. In the book, it's either 7 levels or 9 levels of a zoo. Because if you remember right, they talk about Prince Humperdinck being a great hunter.
Hunter, yeah.
Yes. And he challenges himself to hunt the most dangerous animals or creatures in the world. So in the actual pit of despair of the book, there's levels, and every level has a more like a strong. It's almost like a video game where every level has a stronger beast or creature that they have to like kind of go through to get down to Wesley, who's the most dangerous.
Wow. Okay.
So there's this part of the book which I think
that is very cool. I think that would be that's something that I was unaware of.
Yeah, and it's something like if you Google fun facts of Princess Bride, they never talk about that, but that's a chapter in the book that is a really good read that they left out of the screenplay. I mean, obviously rightfully so. It's very hard to get a movie made. Princess Bride barely got made.
Yeah, he tried for. I was gonna say like, I have the trailer of the movie, so I figured like let's I'm gonna pull up the trailer. We can all kind of catch up with it, and then let's just kind of go from there. Is that cool?
Cool. I don't think it's been a long time since I've seen the actual theatrical trailer.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up right here. I'll be able to watch.
Grandfather's here.
Can't you tell me I'm sick? He'll pinch my cheek. I hate that.
Maybe he won't.
Hey, how was the sickie? Huh? I brought you a special present.
What is it?
It was the book my father used to read to me when I was sick, and I used to read it to your father.
Peter Falk.
Today, I'm going to read it to you.
R.I.P.
Fred Savage.
When life didn't seem so complicated.
Marriage is what brings us.
Marriage.
The wedding.
What?
What?
I'm killing
Billy
myself
Crystal,
once
let's
we
go.
reach the honeymoon suite.
When that
A courtly age. Of gentle conversation.
I will always come for you.
But how can you be sure?
And I will always come for you.
Oh no.
Yes.
Is this a kissing book?
No. Actually, there was a lot of treachery, peril,
Big rip to Andre too.
and revenge.
Prepare to die.
Never go in against the Sicilian when gas is on the line.
There were affairs of state.
But I've got my country's 500th anniversary to plan.
You hear that sax?
My wife.
Like
Yeah.
that trailer sax? That hot sax.
Affairs of the heart.
My Wesley will always come for me.
Your Wesley is dead.
Giggity.
I've seen worse.
Bye, boy. Have fun storming the castle.
It's more than turning. What's the difference? We got him. Take him there.
Goodbye.
It's a story of love. A tale of adventure. It's as real as the feelings you feel.
We're kissing again.
Someday you may not mind so much.
The Princess Bride. Not just your basic, average, everyday, ordinary, run-of-the-mill, ho-hum fairy tale.
Even with the trailer and the announcement, right?
What's that?
I say even with the trailer and the announcement, like that extra little piece of like smart
With no fees or
comedy
minimums on
written into it. Oh, we're getting an ad.
Capital One is like the
Shush.
So it's that I actually don't know. I don't remember that trailer at all and how it played out. I didn't remember the sax. That was kind of funny, the sexy sax.
Right? I thought it was funny.
But yeah, that for those of you who don't know, that movie they tried to make that movie in the late 70s.
In the 70s, yes.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger
Was supposed to be
originally supposed to be cast
In it.
as Fezzik, and
Andre the Giant's character, if you're
Andre the Giant's character Fezzik. And when Rob Reiner, I guess a bunch of people, well, a handful of people tried to make the movie,
right.
and no studio would greenlight the screenplay. And then Rob Reiner directed Spinal Tap and what was the other movie?
The Sure Thing.
The Sure Thing.
Yeah.
And he was like kind of Hollywood royalty at that point,
Mhm.
and the studio gave him carte blanche to make whatever movie he wanted.
Yeah.
And William Goldman became really good friends with Rob. And so if you don't know the history of William writing The Princess Bride, he wrote it for his two daughters,
Mhm.
and who were, I think, 4 and 7 at the time. And he considers it his most prized work of writing ever. that's why he was so protective of it being a movie and being like it had to be the right director to do the screenplay,
Right.
or to make the movie. And the way the movie got its name is he literally asked his daughters, "What do you want me to write about?" And one of them said princess, and the other one said a bride. So he's like, "All right, we'll just use both of those things."
He's like, I'll take it from here, and then just went with it.
But yeah, they
isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how like the smallest? It's like the butterfly effect, right? The smallest little thing can ripple and become such. This movie's a cult classic movie, and like for like a 4 and 7-year-old girl to say 2 words that kind of spawned this fandom that's literally inked and on your body like forever. Like the magnitude of that, like that those small things that end up turning to like really big things in the long run. That kind of mental process, it always like wows me.
Even the actors today, like Cary Ells, he says that in like Wallace Shawn, the guy who plays Vicini, they all still to this day, when fans see them on the street or whatever, even though they have such a crazy body of work amongst them now,
beyond this movie,
this movie, that they say they get set, like people say "as you wish" or like you "you killed my father, prepare to die."
Mandy Patinkin still gets quoted that the whole like all the time.
And Mandy Patinkin before filming was like probably the most distinguished actor that got a lot of them. It's funny, Cary Ells was the least. Cary Ells and
Robin Wright.
Robin Wright were probably the least qualified actors on the cast, because I mean even Fred Savage at 10 years old already had TV shows.
He had a better extensive
he had a bigger resume.
Sure.
Andre the Giant had a bigger resume. He had a bunch of guest spots on different things. He was in a Bond movie, I guess. Or no, was it Bond or was it Million Dollar Man? Or he was a villain in something.
Yeah.
And so like almost everybody, I mean, you had Christopher Guest. Everybody had a better resume at the time than Cary Ells and Robin Wright. And obviously now Cary Ells and Robin Wright have done a lot.
Sure. I'm gonna say this about this movie because we can kind of like work from it, because I have only seen this movie twice, which to a lot of the fans are going to be like, what do you mean? I had not watched this movie up until this past year for the first time from start to finish. I knew some of the lines and some of the quotes and things of that, and seen clips here and there, but to sit down and watch it from start to finish, I had never seen it until this past year. So as like a new kind of, a new observer to like what this is, I don't have the whole sentiment that a lot of people would have to this movie, but I do really enjoy it. I did really enjoy it. I do laugh. I do think it's funny. I do think it's very well written. And one of the things that I think is maybe indirectly clever about the movie, and maybe it's unintended, but I feel that the supporting cast in this movie far outshines the love story of the two main characters, if you will, between Wesley and Buttercup. I feel that the supporting characters around them are so much better and so strong, like so much stronger than the two of them. Who do you
think is the weakest character?
Ooh. I mean, the weakest character is probably the bad guy. It's probably Humperdinck.
I would almost say Buttercup is the weakest character.
Well, you know what? I would say you're right. Yes, because even Humperdinck's got a couple like good lines, and he's that kind of like quintessential, like that little hoity-toity like guy. So yeah, I would say you're probably right. I would give her like low on the totem pole for that. Like as far as that main story goes. What I do really love about the movie itself is that it's a cutaway. Like it's not breaking a fourth wall, because they're not like talking about it inside that story, but it's a story within a story in a sense that, you've got Peter Falk and Fred Savage on a sick day from school. And that's something that I think was really clever, even still until this, till this day. Even they do that with modern storytelling and that. So like to have that wherewithal to like to shoot that in its way, I think was really clever and really smart.
Did you read about the originally shot ending? What it was supposed to be? The original ending they shot?
Tell me about it.
They didn't go with it was almost a ending like they did in Labyrinth, which I'm sure you've seen, which I'm sure you're eventually going to talk about on the show anyway if you go far
eventually
enough. The original ending was shot with Fred Savage looking out the window and seeing Fezzik and Indigo on the horses, and like kind of like they're real.
Yeah,
they're real.
Okay.
And they ended up reshooting the ending and not going with that ending, which I think was a good move, because that's in a way that's one of those like cheesy 80s tropes in a way, that type of an ending.
Right.
Although at the same time, I didn't mind it in Labyrinth, the way they ended Labyrinth. So that's for another podcast.
Maybe we'll have you on for another one.
I'll definitely come on if you ever discuss that movie with somebody. I'll come on as far as the roundtable.
Yeah. Awesome.
But yeah, it's the whole cast, the way it came together, which if you're a fan of this movie like I am, and you like learning about how things get made, Cary Ells wrote a tell-all book about the movie and how his part in it, and meeting everybody and all the behind the scenes stuff that happened throughout the filming of the movie. It's called As You Wish. I highly recommend you get the audiobook because Cary Ells narrates it, plus some of the other people are in the audio version too. But it's very good. If you're a fan of the movie and you want more insight into it, it's a very good audiobook. It's like a 5-hour listen, 5.5-hour listen. Go ahead.
So how many times, if you had to try to quantify, how many times do you think you've seen this movie? Some people are leaving comments in the chat that they're shocked that I've only seen this once or only twice or whatever. How many times do you think you've seen this movie?
So, I mean, I'm not one of those avid. There's probably other movies I've seen more. You know what I mean? Like I would probably say I've seen Zoolander more, because Zoolander is one of those movies that I would put on in the background, and it's just like funny the whole way through.
I like those movies.
Yeah. And I mean, probably like 30 plus times maybe. So it's not like I'm the Star Wars guy who's seen it 500 times. It's not that at all. But it's
I love Star Wars, and I haven't seen Star Wars 500 times. So it's okay.
Yeah, it's I've probably seen it 20, 30 times, somewhere in that realm in my lifetime. It's so not like some crazy fanatic number of times.
So now let's play a little thing that we kind of talked about that I want to do, because I think it's fun to kind of do what we're about to do. And it's not uncommon in Hollywood to sit there and to beat a dead horse, or to not develop original content and end up coming up with a reboot or a remake of, a classic movie that, preys on people's nostalgia, pops it into today's, with modern technology, this and that. Okay. So what I want to say to you is this: Aiden Scott, you're never going to believe this. They are rebooting The Princess Bride. They're remaking it in 2025. Your job, it's our job, to cast this movie with actors from today.
See, I'm really bad at this game. I'm really bad because a lot of the times I'm one of those people that, as much as I love movies, like there'll be times where I'm like, what's that actress's name? What's that actor's name? It's one of those things. Like I'm really bad with names in general. It's really crazy that I remember my friends' names, to be honest. Lauren's lucky I remember her name most days. But yeah, this is a fun game, and I'm sure the chat room's gonna, or the viewers in the chat's gonna light up with people. And I mean, what's going to be the hardest role to cast right now? Fezzik, right? Because you need a giant. And
see, for me,
what are you gonna
yeah,
The
go
Rock?
For it.
Is The Rock going to play?
Oh,
is he going to be in every movie?
No, not at all.
Is it going to be what's that strong dude, the strong man from Sweden?
Oh yeah, like Bjornsson or some of that guy.
Wins all the
it's a
the
Bjornsson,
strong man.
right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I think who would be good for it, and it's a nod to Andre the Giant, it would be Paul White, the wrestler from the 90s or WCW, WWF days of the Big Show. He is a giant. B, he is, he kind of had the same gimmick kind of coming up in his wrestling days, and he's got some acting chops. I don't want to say he's great, but I think he was on like a Netflix sitcom comedy series for a little time, so he has the ability to drop some lines, some dialogue, and things like that. So for me, I would lean that way.
You know what's funny though? I think the reason Andre the Giant worked so well is because he couldn't see the lines very well.
Do you hear how they got him to read the parts?
Yeah, Rob Reiner literally recorded on tape of his parts and sent the tapes to him so that he could phonetically sound out all the words because he couldn't speak English that well. If you guys don't know, he's French. Like Andre the Giant, French.
They met him at a hotel in Paris for him to audition, and Rob Reiner literally had to record everything for him just so he could practice it because he couldn't remember. He couldn't hardly remember any of the stuff.
Another fun story from the casting when they were trying to cast him, because literally they had to cast a giant, which is a very small population of human population that could fit this role, is that when people came in to read for Andre the Giant or read for Fessick, the scene they ran in the casting room was when Wesley was on his back. So that banter between Wesley and Fessick while he's on his back. Yeah. So I forget the guy's name who was the guy running the lines with all the actors, but he's like that guy when he was interviewed, he said, "I've never rode on the backs of so many men because all of the actors who came in to read for the part said they could read it better if they were acting it out as well." So he literally would get on their backs and do that. And another fun thing about that scene is that that's one of the very few scenes that they used a stunt double for Wesley. Because Wesley was too big, and Andre the Giant at that point in his career had major back issues. Yeah, they didn't want to put a ton of weight onto him.
So let's go and try further and cast this movie, right? So
I'm saying Zooey Deschanel is Buttercup, maybe. Let's go brunette.
Okay, I'm gonna. It's really funny and coincidental that you would say that because I would pick Zoe Saldana.
Oh, interesting. Again, that's a name I don't know. So who is that? Just give me a role.
Gamora from the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah. Okay, yes.
She's also in Avatar, and that she's been in Crash. She's been in a bunch of other movies, right? I think she can because I think if they're rebooting this, right, they're not going to give her this lame damsel, thing. They're probably going to try to rework her part a little bit more. So it's a little bit more headstrong, a little bit more, with it, a little bit more of an ass kicker. So I think someone like that along those lines could probably get it done.
There aren't too many more, obviously just because of social times today, there aren't as many damsel in distress movies. That's just kind of a thing that was very big in the 80s. That is kind of no longer in our zeitgeist.
For truth, there's
great. We got some amazing, strong female badasses now. Name the original female badass.
The original female
badass in an era when female badasses were not really put as leading women.
What do you mean, Linda Blair? Where we going?
Alien.
You want to go say with Sigourney
Weaver?
Okay, I like that.
Sigourney Weaver, the very first a first real big budget leading lady who kicked ass and was believable. I think.
I think so. I think she kind of grew into that role a bit. You know what I mean? It was something that I like those. The Alien series is great. That's a good movie.
Especially the original, the very first Alien.
So we're thinking we're kind of split. We've got some Zoes up there for
please read the chat to me. I want to see what they're saying.
Oh, the chat.
I don't see the chat right now.
You can see it in the comments of StreamYard if you click on the comment.
I have it full screen right now.
I I don't see. Let's see. I don't see anybody commenting on Buttercup, on who Buttercup would be. Oh, a Kristen Ritter. Joshua Carl says Kristen Ritter.
Kristen Ritter. Okay.
That's you know who that is, right? She's like the B apartment B23. She's Jessica Jones in the Marvel Comics series. That was a pretty good. Gal Gadot, like someone saying Wonder Woman, she could play like Buttercup, that kind of thing.
Somebody says Chris. Does Strobe say Chris Pratt for Wesley?
Maybe.
I see that here.
He's a little handsome man. I cannot see Ryan Reynolds as a lead. Someone says I wouldn't see Ryan Reynolds as a lead for this either. Huh?
It's funny because I mean I'm a Ryan Reynolds fanboy a little bit.
Me too.
And
I'll man crush on him a little bit. That's fine.
It's he has kind of the right unassuming build still. Like he's got the unassuming face. I could see Ryan Reynolds playing. I
like the wit of him, like because obviously he's like a sarcastic, like smartass or whatever. Like, but he's super physical, and I think that like if they're gonna try to like buff him out, a little bit, you know what I'm saying? It's not really like
I feel like if you put the right clothes on Ryan Reynolds, he doesn't look buff. Like he's still a tall, slender guy. He's just ripped for roles. I mean, come on, remember. When he was in Van Wilder, he wasn't buff.
Yeah, true. Since but he's I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. So we want to go with that. That's not a bad entry.
I would. That would be my.
That'd be a movie you'd want to see.
I don't think I'd want to see this movie in general, but
leave my classics alone.
Whether I want to see it or will see it are two different things.
All right, let's cast Inigo Montoya. Let's cast Inigo. It. Who do you think? That's an actor around like current times that you think would play a good Inigo Montoya?
What's his face? The dude who plays every Mexican villain. It's got all scarred up.
Are you thinking like Danny Trejo?
Yeah, Trejo.
Really? That's funny. Machete. I love him in the Robert Rodriguez's movies like Desperado, and I love Con Air is such a bad movie, but I have such a good love for that. But I think my guess or my best thing would be Pedro Pascal, and that's the Mandalorian, the guy the star of the Mandalorian. He has that same kind of vibe. I think he can pull that off. Really well.
I can see that because, what's funny? I just watched Wonder Woman 84, and he was in that. And comparing that role to that, I could see that fitting. Yeah.
If you like with Game of Thrones, he's the Prince of Dorne. He's got kind of that that suave kind of way about him. Plus the martial arts stuff and things of that nature. Or not martial, the sword play and sword fighting and the physicality of it. I think he could handle that really well. I think that would be something that I'd be cool. I'd be down to see.
That would have been a good segue to the sword fight, but we're still in this thing.
Who do you think would be Prince Humperdinck?
Prince Humperdinck. Who could be a snarky, cocky? What does the chat think?
I would say while they're getting to adding it, right, I would probably go Tom Hiddleston pops into my mind like right away. Plays Loki in the Avengers movies and stuff like that. He is that snarky kind of quick-witted person, but can play a villainish, kind of well. I wouldn't mind seeing him.
I'm seeing a trend in all of your picks. They're all people who have played in comic book movies.
I mean, they're you can't find a comic book movie nowadays that's not very well acted, at least to some certain extent. Yeah. The best of the best are getting picked for Marvel roles, and they're definitely like stepping up their game a bit.
JC says John Mulaney. I don't think Prince Humperdinck wasn't the manliest of men, but you believed he was a man.
That's funny.
John Mulaney is, I think he might be a little bit too thin built for that.
But maybe he could do Miracle Max.
He could maybe do Miracle Max. Yeah,
I like John Mulaney in a role because you need like that stand-up comic kind of back and forth kind of thing.
I just thought because it's been fresh in my mind with a show that Lauren and I have been watching recently, who could be good for Vicini, and I'd say maybe James Spader.
For Vicini?
Vicini, yeah. I
like that.
I could see James Spader playing Vicini.
I hate the way he talks, but I understand why you would pick that because he is very verbose and kind of talks, a lot and whatever. Did you? I'm sure since you're a super fan of this movie that like Danny DeVito was originally going to be like supposed to be Vicini.
And it's funny because Wallace Shawn wasn't the original person for the role or thought to be the person for the role. Like, if you know anything about Wallace Shawn, he's a very educated man. Like, he's a very intelligent theatrical actor. And because they were thinking about casting DeVito, he was very nervous on set. He was very insecure playing the role because of who was
supposed to be there. Yeah, right.
Be there, which is kind of funny because I mean he nailed the role, and now with it like this, I couldn't see Danny DeVito playing that role. Like I just can't see. Although now at this point, my thought of Danny DeVito is from Always Sunny. Like that's him now to me.
Right, but he's that guy.
Yeah.
How about if we go and do Christopher Guest's character?
Yes, the man with six fingers.
Yes.
Which is funny. Another fun fact about that movie. One of the only on-screen injuries of the movie.
Count Rugen, right?
Yeah, Count Rugen. One of the only on-screen injuries that the actual scene is in the movie when it happens is when after they come out of the fire swamp and they get caught by Count Ruben, and he bonks him on the head with the sword. Mm-hmm. He actually hit him and knocked him out. Like he actually got knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually real in the movie. He gets knocked out. So Cary Ells gets knocked out in the movie. That's the second injury that Cary Ells suffered filming that movie too.
And it was his choice to around that time to go down like head first into the quicksand. That wasn't originally scripted. And like, I love like inside movie stuff like that comes about that's like all this stuff that's like just the magic that just gets captured and they just run with it. Like the things where they're like ad-libbing and spitballing stuff. And then they take, just different moments of magic that happen. I love that.
He said jumping in feet first wasn't heroic. It wasn't what a hero would do. So they reimagined the scene. They had the stuntman do it first to see if they could do it.
Yeah.
And it was a risk because under the sand was a trapdoor that had to open. And if you didn't open the trapdoor at the right moment, you would just slam your head
into the door, of course. Yeah.
So they did it with a stuntman first and it worked. And then Cary Ells decided he's like, gotta do it. Yeah. So who could play him? See, I could see somebody said John Stamos in the chat earlier. I could see John Stamos possibly doing that because, like, Count Rugen is kind of like a pretty man, a pretty confident man, and obviously John Stamos is a pretty man. I could see Stamos doing that.
Joshua Carl says Lin-Manuel Miranda as the six-fingered man. I think he's too nice, and he has like decent acting chops because if you're like. His, obviously Hamilton, but like there's a show on HBO that's His Dark Materials, and that's a great show. And he does a great job at like dramatic acting. Some people are just saying, just to let Christopher Guest come back and knock it out.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to that. If he's the one, you can keep one person from the original cast.
Anybody got a recent picture of him? How old is he right now?
I have no idea. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Is Christopher Guest in?
What's that?
What condition is he in? What's funny is, one of the caveats, and I forget who made him do it, who made Rob Reiner do this, but I forget who said they'd only be in the movie if you hid a Spinal Tap thing in the movie. And for those of you who don't know, there is an Easter egg from Spinal Tap in the movie.
Oh, really?
And it's literally the hat that Rob Reiner wore while directing Spinal Tap is hanging in Fred Savage's bedroom.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. So it's a little like weird Easter egg from Spinal Tap in this movie.
Let's move to say like some of the smaller roles, like maybe like the albino in the Pit of Despair. Who do you have an idea of who you think might be able to take on that role? It's super small, but it's it has its moments.
It's small. It's kind of funny because you don't have to take into account looks. See, that's a role I could see Danny DeVito playing almost. I could see Danny DeVito being in that role because he is a small man, and that role requires so much makeup. And but I could see him pulling that demeanor off, the coughing. I could see him delivering those lines in a convincing manner.
I don't know, like rewatching it today, and with this in mind, I was thinking Horatio Sands, like because he kind of looks kind of similar to that guy's build. His kind of comedic timing, he would have it, down a little bit. I think that he could kind of pull that off, as well as I think like someone like some, I'll lean on some SNL kind of alums for, some of this stuff. Like Bill Hader, I think he could have been like the Six-Fingered Man, or he could have been Humperdinck too. Like I think he could have played either one of those guys.
I agree
fairly well.
I can agree with that. Definitely.
And to riff on Saturday Night Live, alums a little bit more. To have Valerie, who was, originally played by Carol Kane, I would almost like to see, oh my God, her name literally was like right on the tip of my tongue and then just went Kate McKinnon. To have her kind of play the Valerie, the wife of the Miracle Max.
Do you know like the way the whole Miracle Max scene came together? Like Billy Crystal, I think they filmed for 10 hours or something. And Billy Crystal didn't say the same joke more than once.
Every time, yeah.
And he literally just riffed like whatever century humor off the top of his dome for 10 hours, never saying the same joke twice. And Carol King and Billy Crystal wrote the backstory for their
that was all. Yeah, that was not planned at all.
It wasn't in the original screenplay at all. But that's, and apparently, the two scenes that were the hardest for the crew to get through without laughing was that scene and the scene in the Pit of Despair where he's like coughing and whatever. Like apparently Carrie Ells had all the trouble to lay there still,
keeping it together.
Yeah, to keep it together for that scene.
Yeah, I guess I read that the director Rob Reiner, like when Billy Crystal was doing his part, while they were like working it out, he couldn't even be in the room. Like he had to like completely leave set because he was laughing so hard that he just couldn't be there. He had to remove himself from the scenario. I find that kind of stuff a lot of fun.
I find a lot of the directors who allow that style in their movies find a lot of success. Like I like people like shows like Curb, where there's like they put people in a room that are funny and they just let them riff and they just get gold. And I guess that was probably a lot harder to do back in the 80s because you were on film and film cost money.
Right.
Obviously today you can just do it digital, so it doesn't matter how many times you're shooting. You're only paying the crew. You're not paying for actual media anymore.
Film stock, yeah. You got hard drive space, but you can wipe that at the the end of the day or whatever.
Yeah. So the fact that they did that type of I guess Billy Crystal was kind of royalty at the time. Just they let him do his thing. Let him do his thing.
I think when did City Slickers come out? I think it came out in the early 90s. I think
I think that was like early
riding high from that.
Yeah. City Slickers.
I like that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to include on some nuggets that we haven't talked about?
As far as like fun facts about the movie. Yeah.
So something that people would find insightful for sure.
Do you know that like the entire filming of the movie, Carrie Ells had a broken toe because of Andre the Giant?
I did not know that.
He before they actually started filming and they were just like on set together, Andre couldn't get transported around in the van that they had, so that he had his own ATV, like a golf cart type deal that he drove around, and he coaxed Carrie into driving it one day. He's like, "Come on, just drive it," and he's like, "Nah." He got him to drive it, and Carrie got his foot stuck in some of the mechanics of the gas pedal area and broke his toe. So I didn't know that until I actually listened to the book, As You Wish. And then when I went back and watched the movie, you could see all the little things that they had to do to kind of mask the fact that he was walking around on a broken foot. There's a few scenes where you can really tell. The one where he sits down with it's when after they climb the cliffs of insanity and they sit down, he's getting rocked out of his shoe. The way he sits kind of funny, and you can tell he's kind of pampering the foot. So that was a fun little fact that a lot of people don't know. But when you go back and watch the movie and pay attention, you'll see him like favoring his hurt foot. Let's see what else. I made some notes of things that I wanted to like touch on, which we've touched on a lot of them actually, like the Danny DeVito thing, the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing. Yeah. Oh, the only reason.
How different would that movie look? You know what I mean? In the 70s with Arnold Schwarzenegger and like Danny DeVito, like it's like twins. Like it's like that's exactly what it is. A fairy tale version of twins.
It's kind of funny because like I think that he was still considered when they actually got it greenlit. It's just at that point, Arnold Schwarzenegger was too expensive. He was way too expensive to cast for that movie at that point, which it really worked out for the best for everyone, I think.
I think so. I would agree for sure.
So yeah, we talked about how Count Rugen actually did knock out Carrie Ells in that scene, and so that they actually used that take.
It's hilarious.
Another reason I think that the movie holds up this far is for one, the dialogue, because the dialogue I would challenge anybody to find holes in the dialogue or where the dialogue was bad, because the screenwriting was so good. There are a few scenes that I can critique, and one of them, which is the most glaring to me, and it's like my least favorite scene that was filmed, is when Buttercup pushes Wesley down the hill, and then she goes down the hill with him. Number one, why would you roll down the hill if you were in full control? Like, why didn't she just like go down the hill opposed to like tumbling down the hill? Number two, you can clearly see it's a stuntman when she is rolling down the hill.
Oh god, the arms on that chick right there, man.
You can tell it's a man in a wig and a red dress. And yeah. So that's like one of the real critiques as far as like the filming of the movie was concerned, and where something doesn't hold up, where it wasn't as good. But the fact that they did like the sword fight, which is a lot of people like have the conversation of like what movie had the best sword fight ever, and a lot of people will point to Princess Bride, and when they were filming it, they used other movies as references to what they had to beat as far as their sword fight. And both Mandy Patinkin and Carrie Ells, it's them the whole time in the scene, except for the acrobatics. When he does the flips of that scene, that's the only scene that they use a stunt double. The rest of that sword fight is both of them, and they both spent months learning how to sword fight with both hands, so right and left-handed, to do the scene properly and to make it believable. So that's
they took it so seriously.
Yeah, they took it very seriously. They didn't want to use any stunt doubles to do the sword fight, which is commendable, because it's a lot of people point to their favorite scene of the movie being that scene. And I tend to agree, because not only were they actually sword fighting, but the banter of that scene, the back and forth, is so good that it just, to me, that scene is perfect in every way.
I think my favorite scenes would be where Wesley is battling Andre the Giant and Mandy Patinkin, and it's just for that, like that repartee, like back and forth between even Andre the Giant, who, you know, stumbled on almost every one of his lines, you know, what he was getting through. And like, this isn't, you know, with Visick was telling him, Vicini, sorry, was, you know, tell him you're going to do this. And when he comes, you're going to smash his head on a rock. Like all of that, like going on, you know, forward with everything, I think was so well done. And that act, that middle part of that movie is by far my favorite part of that.
Definitely the strongest part of the movie, from the whole Dread Pirate Roberts chasing them through the land was just so well done. And if I was to pick a scene that was the weakest of that part of the movie, is I would say when they're on the boat and like the eels in the water.
Yeah,
that was my least favorite of the scenes compared to the Cliffs of Insanity, and then when Wesley and Fessick, you know, stand off.
That scene wasn't that sub scene was supposed to be a lot different too. That eel scene, there weren't supposed to be eels, and there's supposed to be he was supposed to say that there's sharks. Yeah, that there's sharks in there. You don't know what you're doing. There's sharks in there, and that he like takes a goblet of his own blood and like throws it into the water. And basically chums the water, and that's what gets her to like get scared and like come back, which I think would have been. It's obviously a darker, you know, a darker twist for that movie, but I think that gives it more of a, you know, more of like a cooler feel of what it is.
You know, that's actually something I've never heard. So I've never heard that that little tidbit of information. But like between that and then the whole pit of despair, the levels of the pit of despair would have made for a much darker movie. You know,
yeah,
which is plausible in the 80s because you had movies like Dark Crystal. Labyrinth was pretty dark for what it was, and like, movies of that era. And again, when you talk about movies of that era, Princess Bride comes up, Labyrinth comes up, Dark Crystal comes up, stuff like that, and so it could have been plausible that could have happened in that era.
I just think it takes away from the comedic value. Then you know what I mean? Because it's like it's that balance because it's so smart. And it's so funny. And then it has those moments of, you know, that serious, you know, whatever, the storytelling that they're doing that, you know, if they took it into like, you know, such a dark place that I think it wouldn't, I think overall the weight of the movie would kind of be thrown off. But I like that when reading that and finding out, I was like, that's a cool, like that, you know, that's a cool part of the movie. I think I would be like, okay with watching.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think I'd want to just, you know, open it up to the community roundtable, if that's cool with you. If the folks that are in the chat want to come and contribute to the show, if you have the ability to jump into the stream and you follow the rules, I'll see you on the green room. Obviously, there can't be any kind of, you know, crazy nudity on film or any of that nature. So if you are, you know, you'd like to join us in, you know, spouting your favorite things, you have, you know, an edit that you want to rip me apart about on the show, you want to drop a couple of quotes into the Twitterverse and on the podcast, feel free. The link is in the chat here. You can use it on any web browser if you like. I see a couple people in the back of the green room that want to come out. I'm not sure who Aiden Scott 2.0 is.
That's me.
Is it still you? Okay, good.
That's the laptop is in front of me.
Oh yeah, good. All right. I was like, we're in for a troll on the first episode. We'll take a look. So let's if we'll bring a couple people out onto the stream. It's Joshua Carl.
Yo.
Hey, what's up, brother?
How you doing?
How are you?
Good show, guys. Fader, congrats, man. Off to a great start, man.
I think it's gonna. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's gonna be kind of a learning process, and you know, some different things I want to add and do. But I appreciate you guys all coming in and supporting and sticking around. I think we got one more person to add for now. This is Noobtastic Gaming. She's part of the Twitch community here. Great streamer, and let's bring her out. She's a lover of the movie. Big fan.
Yes.
There she is.
Hey, how we doing?
Hello.
Hello there. How are you?
I am good. How are you guys?
Did you learn something about the movie that we talked about tonight, or did you, as a super fan, already know everything?
I already knew, I think, most of that, honestly. I think there might have been a couple of things that you guys talked about that I didn't know. I think the broken toe thing I didn't know.
That was one of the things that when I listened to that book, that was one of the things that I was like, wow. Like, and then going back to watch it and seeing the scenes where you're like, oh no, he definitely has a broken foot. And
Right.
it's something you don't notice if you don't know it.
Yeah. If you think of thinking back on it, if you look, there's a few scenes where, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
How about you, Joshua Carl?
You know what? Most of that stuff I didn't know, actually. It's one of those movies that I've watched. When you guys were like, how many times have you watched that movie? I couldn't come up with a number because I think times that I've sat down and been like, oh, I want to watch this movie is probably like 2 or 3. But times that it's been on and I'm like, oh, Princess Bride. Sometimes it's in the first 5 minutes. Sometimes, it's in the last 20. But every time it's on, I watch it. So it's hard to give you like a proper amount.
Mr. Billy Lane, 916 Junglist, joining the
whole crew's here.
Yes,
whole stream nerds in the house.
Howdy. What's up, guys?
How are you, sir?
I don't think I could give it a number. I've joked about this, but it's not a lie. My son and we grew up together. I had him when I was 18, and it's one of those generationally viable movies that it's over 30 years old at this point. It's something that's like Aiden talked about. It spans generations because it's a movie that like little kids get it. They think it's great. They think it's funny because of all the comedy and whatnot in it and the things. But then adults, it's got that witty repartee and stuff in it that's just absolutely amazing. And so we grew up, my son and I, watching this movie over the last 30 years. Well, he's only 24 now, but you get it. I mean, he has literally, between him and I, we have broken 4 DVDs watching this movie so many times.
What are you doing after the movie that you're breaking the DVDs? Celebratory dances. And...
I know.
The movie is fucking awesome.
No, but I mean, like, we've watched it to the point where it doesn't play anymore. We have watched it that many times, and it's. I mentioned this in Aiden's chat earlier when I was in his stream that I got the honor of meeting Carrie Elwes at Salt Lake Comic Con, and
what was he doing press for at that point?
Saw
for his book.
Oh, for the book. Okay.
Yeah, that was when As You Wish, when he wrote it. And so it was amazing. Like, you, a huge super fan. I don't have a tattoo of it, but yeah, it's just, it's incredible. And he signed my 25th anniversary edition of the movie, and I super, super huge fan. And so when I got to talk to him about the movie, like you said, it was just something that...
That's right. For the 25th anniversary, didn't they put it back in theaters for a limited run, right? There was a limited run of theaters, and that's when Carrie Ells did the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a
Billy,
little.
how about you? How about your relationship?
My relationship with the movie?
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time. I didn't know a lot of those unknown facts that you guys were all spewing out. I'm gonna have to study up on the movie that I'm gonna be a part of when I come on. Because y'all are setting the bar pretty high. I thought we were just supposed to talk about movies that we like, not know more about it than any other human being on the fucking planet. The Princess Bride is a great movie. The thing that I like about it is that it's like it's got the fairy tale princess movie vibe, but they kept little Kevin Arnold. Fred Savage in there as the 10-year-old boy who was like the mushy stuff, blah blah blah, like, and it kept it that actually kept a balance for like the kid, boy or girl doesn't matter, but like for the kid who was like I'm not really into that side of it, right? Like it kept
I don't want to see a love story.
Right.
Yeah.
It kept that good balance.
It's kind of funny because, like, in retrospect, a lot of people who, like, again, when I say that's my favorite movie, they're like, "Isn't that a chick flick?" Fred Savage's character is that personified.
Exactly what that is. Right.
They literally talk about that. Yeah.
Right.
And he reprised that role for Deadpool 3, the PG-13 edition.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. The
little cutaway in the scene there. That was awesome.
There was I think it went around the interwebs 2 years ago, maybe. A bunch of different actors did a whole Princess Bride like clip thing. It was like a Instagram TV type thing that they all filmed in different spots.
Was it a Zoom thing? Did they did it like they reread the scripts?
I saw the read-through.
It wasn't a read-through. It was a bunch of different actors, like other A-list actors, picking their favorite parts of the movie and refilming them with what they had around their house or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that.
But not the original actors. There are other actors that were doing it.
It was like people like Brad Pitt or like it's it's like other A-list actors, because again, a lot of that generation holds that movie with a lot of nostalgia. In if you can, I want to find that link now. I think Josh is already looking for it.
I'm looking for it.
The Lady Rebel in the chat says it was on Quibi, so there's those little 10-minute little episodes there. I remember, I know that they recently did like that with like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Like they took the cast and like they were Shia LaBeouf was Spicoli, and they did like a little table read kind of like scenario like that. So I don't know if that's what that one is, but
it wasn't a table read. It wasn't a read. They were actually like doing scenes.
Oh, like
actual,
pre-pandemic, like people were there.
It was during the pandemic.
It was during the pandemic, but they filmed it all in different places. But it wasn't like them sitting around reading lines. They were they were acting.
Like 30 seconds long.
Can we play it?
I got it. I'll drop the link in the chat. I don't know if this is the whole thing.
If we can play it, that would be a great. That would be a good thing for this episode.
I'll throw it up.
I just put it in the private chat in the call.
Shit. I don't know how to get there.
Yeah, I don't know how to get
there. While I load that up, dude, we should have talked about this when we were talking about recasting. Do you guys know? Do you guys know who originally read for Buttercup's role?
Shit, I do know this.
There
Josh,
was like
put it in the regular chat. I can't flip over to the private part.
So Uma Thurman, Courtney Cox, Whoopi Goldberg, and Meg Ryan all read for the role.
Nope, I copied the wrong thing. Ignore that.
That's a story. There's links inside it. So,
all right, let me see if I can pull that up.
Oh, this is the best kind of content right here.
Hey, Raid in the building.
Oh shit!
Casino Tuesday.
Welcome, Raiders.
All right, hang on. Let me try and grab this here.
You know, it is probably one of the most quotable movies ever.
Oh, for sure.
So go riff on that for a little bit. Do you guys have like a favorite or something that you find that like you hear the most often?
Inconceivable.
Yeah, the Inconceivable is probably my favorite.
That was a layup for you, Aiden. Just so you know.
Anybody who listens to my stream, it's actually one of my samples loaded into my sample bank. So
or I mean, for sure, like you killed my father, prepare to die.
I always like, anybody want a peanut?
Stop rhyming, I mean it.
I mean it. Anybody want a peanut? Or one of my favorite lines, there's a shortage of perfect breasts in this world, would be a pity to damage yours. But that's my favorite line.
It's a great line.
I've said that one quite a bit.
Quite a few times.
Jennifer Garner, Hugh Jackman, Tiffany Haddish, and a lot more, all getting in on the time.
You guys hear this?
Very creative.
Yeah.
Even Jonas and Sophie Turner got involved too, swapping roles and even getting attacked by a vicious Corgi.
Oh, so this isn't the actual video. It's like a commentary of the video.
Yeah, I thought the link was going to be. If you scroll down, there's another one too.
Yeah, try to play the actual video.
Oh, Jennifer Garner.
Like better in a lot of ways.
Hi, people.
Hugh Jackman.
Months from now, our country will celebrate its 500th anniversary. And on that sundown, I shall marry a lady who was once a commoner like yourselves.
No way.
Would you like to meet her? Hi, the Princess Buttercup.
I'm actually not mad at Hugh Jackman.
Yes, I was just gonna put that up.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was a trailer for it. We gotta find the real. We gotta find the whole thing.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, yeah, that would be great.
That's just a
whole
picture.
movie, though.
Now that I know what it was for.
Yeah, we gotta find that. That would be great to watch.
It was so good. I remember when it first made the rounds on social media, and I loved it.
I'll have to check that out. That looks really funny.
Mandy Patinkin talked very often about how that was his favorite role.
Oh, there's a bunch, guys.
Do you know what? Why? He had lost his dad recently. I think within like the 4 years, like 4 years prior to that
making the movie, right?
He lost his dad to cancer, and when Rob Reiner asked him to be in the movie, Rob Reiner offered him any role he wanted. He's like, you could be any role you wanted, and he picked Inigo because he attached himself to the fact that he was trying to avenge his father, and
Congratulations.
Sorry, go ahead.
Use that as motivation. Is like so. Essentially, the six-fingered man in his head as an actor was the cancer that killed his dad.
Yeah.
So
there's a ton of these guys. It's like the one I just posted is 15 minutes long, and it's like Patton Oswalt and a couple other guys. But then there's another one. I think a lot of people just took it and ran. This one's Jack Black, Diego Luna, Caitlin Deaver, Finn Wolfhard, King Bach, Dave Bautista, Dave Spade, Tom Lennon.
1 millionth meal served. Well done. Or medium rare, however your taste.
John Hamm.
There you go.
It's like the whole movie just done in pieces. See, look at that's my man right there.
Look, I don't mean to be rude, but this is not as easy as it looks. So
That's amazing.
He's
on the clip.
Sorry. Thank you.
Oh my God, I love.
Is that Caspian?
I do not suppose you speed things up.
If you're in such a hurry, you could lower a rope or a tree branch or find something useful to do.
I could do that. In fact, I've got some rope here. But I don't think you would accept my help since I am just waiting around to kill you.
That does put a damper on our relationship.
He's got the lightsaber. That's great.
I'm afraid you'll just have to wait.
I hate waiting. I could give you my
What
word.
did they use to make that mask? Did a t-shirt with t-shirt holes?
Nice one. The Tenacious D.
Yes.
Diego Luna, yeah.
Montoya, you will reach the top alive.
He does his voice pretty good.
Throw me the rope.
Throw me the rope. Gargoyles.
What's funny is they're clearly in different places. What's going to happen when he gets to the top?
Okay. Thank you.
We'll wait until you're ready.
Once again, thank you.
Yes.
I love Jack Black.
Oh my God, I love him so much.
That's classic comedy right there.
Right hand of yours.
Slapstick genius.
Do you always begin conversations this way?
My father was slaughtered by a six-finger man. He was a sword maker, my father. A great one. And when the six-finger man arrived and asked for a very special sword.
You know what's funny? I don't think I actually watched this whole thing. I think I saw the trailer go around. And I thought that was the whole thing.
Of them like just doing a shorter version of the whole thing.
Yeah, it was just like clips of it.
Highlights, yeah. Like I said, there's a bunch of other ones with other people too.
Yeah, because this is just that one, just those that couple scenes.
Right, the lightsaber. With
Another lightsaber.
That cracks me up
He
so
offered
much.
1/10 of his promise price.
Okay, so this is the whole episode of whatever this is.
Check this out. Yeah.
They actually did the entire.
Try skipping ahead a little bit.
I'm gonna skip ahead.
So I wonder if the thing that I saw that I shared on Instagram was like it must have been clips from all the different episodes that they did for this.
Actually, I find Tibble cancels out Capoferro, don't you?
Wait, who is that?
That is true. Unless your enemy has studied their
That's a kid from
which I have.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Magic boy, the girl.
Wonderful.
Thank you. I've worked hard to become so.
I admit it.
I always think everything could be a trap.
Mama show with
That's why I'm still alive.
He's wearing his Reno number one outfit.
He's still wearing the Reno outfit.
This could be the perfect casting right here.
Pat
Pat
Oswalt
Oswalt.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
If you wish her dead, by all means, keep moving forward.
Oh my God, yes.
John Hamm.
There's nothing to explain. You're trying to kidnap what I've rightfully stolen.
Perhaps an arrangement can be reached.
He just happened to have that outfit.
Yeah. Of course he did.
He is John Hamm.
Yeah.
We are at an impasse.
I'm afraid so. I can't compete with you physically, and you're no match for my brains. People not trusting them, and you are not trusted by me, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you.
Truly, you have.
I love him.
He's wearing a baseball glove.
Yes, Australia. And you would have
Which
suspected
is
that I knew of the powers.
wrong.
I can clearly not.
It's a big
choose the wine in
snafu
front
in
of
this
me.
movie that he talks
You'd
about.
like to think that, wouldn't you? You've beaten my giant, which must mean that you're exceptionally strong. So you couldn't put the poison in your own goblet, counting on your strength to save you. But you also bested my Spaniard, which means you must have studied. And in studying, you learned that man is mortal. So you would have put the poison as far away from your...
Sorry. Muting myself.
He always gets choked up during this part.
Yeah.
You guessed wrong.
You only think I guessed wrong. That's what's so funny. I switched glasses when your back was turned. You fool. You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. The most well-known is this. Never get involved with a man or an Asian. No, slightly less well-known is this. Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
There's me. There's me.
Yeah, Billy Lane coming in for the guest spot right there. Oh,
man, he crushed that. He
That's
crushed that.
super good.
So good.
That was a good one.
I'm glad I remembered that. But again, I must have saw like the highlights of all of them. They were all mashed into one short consumables like Instagram video.
Yeah, I think I've seen that too, but it wasn't all. Yeah, I had no idea that existed.
Yeah,
as like individual chapters.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that existed. Like I didn't know they filmed like the whole things. Because again, I saw like a mashup of all of them that was really good, and like obviously for social media, for Instagram, it was easy to watch.
So I want to thank Aiden Scott for being our first guest on this podcast.
You're having me.
I'm gonna respectfully boo all of you. So we're gonna wrap up the show. 916 Junglers, Mr. Billy Lane is gonna be on next
Check out the
week.
sweet picture of Aiden Scott I found on the internet.
Yeah. handsome man right there. Mr. Billy Lane's going to be on the show next week. We're going to be watching Big Trouble Little China. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Girls with green eyes.
I will talk to you all very soon. We're going to wrap up with Aiden. Thank you guys so much for coming on the community roundtable section. Thank you.
Later, guys.
And I will see you guys soon.
See you later.
Big up, man. Big up.
And one more for that guy. And now it's just back to the two of us.
Okay.
Just the two of us. So here's your chance. Not your chance, your opportunity, sir. Plug what you've got coming up. Let the people know where they can find you that are just listening to this. The people that are here now that may not already be following you, that are going to see this on YouTube later, hopefully. Mm-hmm. Plug yourself. What have you got going on? Let us know where the people can find you.
So obviously my Twitch channel, which is right there.
Right
there.
Here.
There. I stream 4 to 5 times a week. Mondays from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Wednesdays from either 6 to 9 or 7 to 9 Eastern, depending on what I'm doing. I throw a party called Funked, FNKD, which is kind of a bunch of music that is funky in nature, whether it's and to me, funk isn't a genre. It's a kind of that sounds
Is it a way of life?
It's a feeling. Funk is a feeling.
Funk's a
and
feeling, 100%.
there's a lot of types of music that feel funky that aren't funk. But so on Mondays I do a funk show. On Wednesdays I do a show called Wubba Wednesdays, where we focus on more bass heavy music, whether it be ghetto funk, drum and bass house, glitch hop, anything like that. It's the one where you want a subwoofer to listen to. Thursdays I do another funk stream from 7 to 9, which is what was before this show today. On Fridays from noon to 2 p.m. Eastern, I do Disco Fridays, which is a raid type thing I do with Sam Tweaks, Steve Disco Newsom, and DJ Codis. All of those guys are UK.
All good guys.
All good people, all on the other side of the pond. But that day is all of like new disco, classic disco, disco house, filter disco, all like the disco sounds. So those are the days that I schedule streams. I definitely do pop-up streams from time to time, playing other stuff. So like on my channel, you're gonna hear a lot of funk, new funk, ghetto funk, drum and bass, disco house, soulful house. What you're not gonna hear you're not going to hear like radio cuts of a lot of things, like a lot of current top 40. You're not going to hear that on my station unless it's like a remix that I love, like a flip. But yeah, it's a little bit different. But we have an awesome community of people who love it, and they're friendly, all about positive vibes. So that's what I'm doing, because we still can't go to work.
It's very true. All the other social medias, where can everybody find you? Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitters, all that. At DJ Aiden Scott.
So I'm also a photographer and a videographer, which a lot of people don't know about that side of my life. That Instagram is just at Aiden Scott, which you can go to and find my other Instagrams, because the link in the bio, the link in the bio of all my Instagrams will take you everywhere else. My SoundClouds, my Mixcloud, YouTube, all that stuff can be found on my Instagrams. So Instagram at Aiden Scott, or at DJ Aiden Scott, or finally at Funked Philly, which is FNKD Philly. So, but if you go to any of those Instagrams, which Aiden Scott's the easiest to remember, you can just click the link in the bio and find the other ones.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir, for volunteering to come on the show. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time chopping up with one of your favorite movies.
I'm glad I could be here, and now I'm hungry, and I want to go have some.
It's dinner time. It's beyond dinner time for you, sir.
Yeah,
I get
dinner
it.
time.
Thank you so much, sir, and I'll talk to you very soon.
All right, guys, take care.
All right, guys. I wanted to send a huge shout out to Aiden Scott for being our first guest on the podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here, being a part of the live experience. We're going to do this each and every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking about all different kinds of movies and have a bunch of different stories from a bunch of different people. I'm really looking forward to it. Next week, we have Billy Lane from the 906 Junglist channel. We're going to be looking at Big Trouble in Little China, Kurt Russell classic cult movie again. And then the following week, we're going to have DJ Joshua Carl. They were on two other members that were on that kind of video roundup. If you guys would be so kind to like and subscribe on all the channels that are available for us, we are going to go, and we're on the Twitch side of things. We're going to go catch a raid. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful night, and we'll catch you next week.